Hello. What a bounty. What a beauty. What a bounty. What a beauty. Hello. What a bounty. What a beauty. Hello, YouTube. Hello, TikTok. I was going to, get it going over here on TikTok and then turn YouTube on, a few minutes later. But I was getting ready to get into what I'm getting ready to get into. I said, let's have this for YouTube as well. And what that is my communication, my prayer. Shout out to the beautiful young woman whose TikTok I watched maybe yesterday. And she said, prayer is a communication with your unconscious mind. I love that the young people are getting it. Oh, baby. Listen, blessed child, huh? She said, prayer is communication with your unconscious mind. It is not the man in the sky. It's not something out there, some being out there. Prayer, my darling, is communication with your unconscious mind. Yes? So, as we prepare for today's topic, which is raw power for pioneers who scare people. Before we go further into today's topic, which is raw power for pioneers who scare people, here's my prayer. That the spirit that is right, that restores right power, that is pure, truly pure, that is true, that allows all humans alive today, all humans who will be born, that they are moved by the spirit of right, the true, full, expressed human. No lie, no pretending, no contorting oneself to belong. And that each sentient being maintains and is imbued if for some reason their maintenance is disrupted. Is imbued with the spirit of their fullness, that they may breathe, feel, think, and be true. So that the ugly that encompasses this world, the lies that encompass this world, the pain and suffering unnecessarily that encompass this world can no longer take root. That the children of the children of the children can be alive in their expression, in their voice, in their being, in their bodies. So that that center of the undivided heart, the center of the undivided heart, of the non-dual being, the non-dual being, the undivided heart breathes on this planet and beyond. Breathes and breathes. Lives as an example. That's our prayer. That's my prayer, our prayer, the prayer. And that lasts forevermore. Forevermore. Who here listened to the words multiple times of Kendrick Lamar's new song, Reincarnated? Who here listened to the words multiple times? Reincarnated, reincarnated. Who listened to the words multiple times? Anybody? Reincarnated. Did y'all know about Kendrick Lamar's? Huh? Reincarnated. I'm already telling people. Go ahead. Go ahead. So first of all, go listen to it. What did it drop? Like last week? I don't even know when it dropped. It could have dropped months ago. For all I know, I just listened to it. Okay, I found out about it through one of my members. Shout out to Salandria, one of my community members who put me onto it. Anybody know when that song dropped? Anyway, in the song, he is admitting whether it's he's speaking on behalf of someone he knows or he's talking about himself. He's admitting how much he lied. Okay. Owning his darkness, um, apologizing, okay, making amends, if you will. And it's like a conversation with his high self toward the end of the song. He's having a conversation with his high self. So his ego self is having a conversation with his high self, and his ego is like so many of us, but I want to help people. He didn't say I want to help people. He said, but I'm spreading peace in LA. His ego mind said, but I'm spreading peace in LA. And his high mind said, but you like war. And he's like, no, I don't. But you like war. He's like, okay, but baby, the time is now. Baby, if you got eyes to see, the time is now. What a blessed time to be alive. See? Basically, reincarnation is a reconciliation of the conscious and the unconscious mind, is what it is. Through the lens of a man who admitted that he was so starkly lured by gluttony. Tell the truth. Lured by gluttony. He just couldn't resist. On drugs, women everywhere. See? And he liked the war. He liked the drugs. He liked the gluttony. But no, I want peace. No, but see, and that's his version. How many of you have your own version of it? I just want art. I just like art. I just want to share my art because my heart, I'm such a sensitive being. I'm such an old soul. And I'm so mad at capitalism and patriarchy because when really that's the inverted version of you that is the most capitalistic, greedy, fucking gluttonous being. And part of your kink, part of your inversion is to act like you hate it all. And if you were to own the part of you that loves the freedom of capitalism, the ability to package your art and sell it anywhere around the globe, if you were to really own the part of you that loves that appreciates that, it values that the war within you would cease and you can finally get the fuck on with yourself? Yes or no? See, we all have our versions. Or the man, I was watching a video about, and actually I was thinking about this morning. We're getting into the topic. I was getting into this morning. Was walking into the place where I love to go for breakfast here in Sacramento. And the whole packaging and selling of patriarchy, okay? The whole packaging and selling, sort of like the packaging and selling of the American dream, right? That the banks needed money, and so they got together in their meeting and decided to sell houses, and but they needed to put story and sentiment around it, and then they needed to incentivize the people to want it, because you have to want it. You can't get people to do something that they don't want. So they have to see it as an esteemed thing, a desirable thing. This is how real estate came to be, right? In case you didn't know. So the American dream became the story, the pitch, the ideal for banks to make money. We're going to get into today's topic further, but hey, listen, maybe I'll introduce myself here in a minute. what this is about on my end. And I was thinking about, ooh, wow, thank you so much. The really the future of humanity. And I had a major breakthrough yesterday. Yesterday was very difficult for me. I wrote about it in my newsletter. I was just highly consumed with penetrating this thick, hello, YouTube, penetrating this, and I felt this for a long time. It's just expanding oneself to be able to do denser, deeper, darker, more difficult energetic work. And I was thinking about like not even the whole thing, right? Penetrating this gridlock. And so the breakthrough last night was like, and then this morning, the lusciousness of it all, gratitude for it all. So I was thinking very differently this morning about raw power, the naturalness of humanity, and the male female dynamic, and the state of the world now, how we got here, future, and just seeing, feeling, thinking very differently. Little tweaks, too. Oftentimes, it's the little tweaks that make enormous difference. And I was imbued with a deeper than I have felt compassion for the male, a deeper compassion than normal for the male. And my God, those of us we have such visions of restoring what is right on this planet. And aside here, you know of Carl Jung, and his greatest disciple, if you will, her name was Marie Louise von France. Anybody here know of Marie Louise von France? And she became an authority and a visionary and a teacher in her own right. And there's an interview of her on YouTube. It's old. I want to say it's from the 60s. And she's being interviewed in front of the house that she had built so that they could do their work remotely in their own space. And she said, anyone wanting to change the world, it's a childish illusion. Those are her words. Anyone wanting to change the world, it's a childish illusion. And what she meant was, for those of you who are like, I want to change the world, I want to make things better, I want to heal hearts, I want to unify humanity, I want to get rid of racism, I want to, whatever your thing is, right? Again, this is for pioneers who are wanting to do something that either has never been done on a level, or they're wanting to advance something that started and they're sort of picking up the baton and carrying it on. Yeah. And when you really are about changing the world, and why it's like, what a childish illusion to think you are going to change the world, is because so many of us, before we figure it out, we think changing the world has something to do with going out there to change the world. Go help those people, those broken people, those lost souls. Go out there and help the people, the children, the broken people, right? What a childish, egoic illusion. And then the great master, Carl Jung, tells us, and as many of you already know who have dedicated yourselves long enough to finally be faced with your own hypocrisy, your own childish illusion, and you've been honest with yourself and you realize there is no going out there to save the world. Create my coaching package to help those people. Starting my healing business to go help those people. starting my transformational company, my speaking career, writing my book to go help those people, you have come to know through your own real world experience that you change the world by changing yourself. Yes? 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 The great master Carl Jung said, the greatest way to deal with the darkness, the greed, the hate, the ugly, the vile, the war, the filth, the evil, wicked, petty, ugly, selfish bitch in him and her is to deal with it inside yourself. Yes? Okay. Okay. We ready? Can we all embrace that? Digging out your own graveyard, Chris said. Hello. Yes? Do we see that? Do we get that? Do we accept that within ourselves? You looking at somebody on the internet, you like, oh, and then when you pause, you say, oh, that's in me too. You feel yourself getting riled. Oh God, he is so fucking annoying. And then before you get the reaction, you lean back. Oh, actually, oh, he's annoying because it's actually rubbing up against a part of me that I don't like about myself. Yes? See, this is how we change the world, because then you can go into your corporate job, you can deal with the men in your life, anybody, and realize that as they're stroking you in some way that you don't like, it's actually an aspect of yourself that you've yet to reconcile. What a fucking illuminated freedom way to live. And Kendrick Lamar also talked about that in his new song, Reincarnated. 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 And he said, his high self said, because his ego self, his high self said, everybody you meet is an aspect of you. Everybody you meet is an aspect of you. Yes? Okay. If you're new here, my name is Naima, the founder of the Academy for Womanhood. Oh, Lord, I am a pioneer. My whole life, my whole one precious life, is to restore power to rightness, right order, raw, true, unhinged, unburdened by all the story making and contortions placed on it over millennia. Ultimately, that's why I exist. So, this new, deeper than normal compassion for the male. For those of you who are pioneers, and it takes a while. It takes a while to excavate oneself because it's there. Just you only really get to the depths of excavation through your own devotion. Nobody can teach it to you. It's you persevering. Like yesterday was so difficult for me. I was texting people. Stay in the dip. Seth Godin calls it the dip. Remaining in the true without abandoning ship, without hunkering down and digging your heels in because this feels so difficult. And when you quit, when you abandon ship, when you look for the easier way, when you look for something that feels more familiar and comfortable, when you want to grip onto what you know, what makes sense, because you can't handle the land of the unknown. You can't handle this force you've never been in, this vortex you've never been in. Something feels like it's gripping it. And the only thing you have anchoring you is your pure heart. That's why I said earlier, I said an undivided heart. In Kendrick Lamar's song, Reincarnated, he was trying to talk in these high and mighty ways, the way y'all like to talk, the way I've talked. But I'm here to help people. I want to change the world. No, I'm a loving person. I'm a good person. No, my heart is pure. And then his high self says to him in the song, Reincarnated, his high self says to him, your heart is broken. I can see it. I can see past experiences still inside your broken heart. I can see it. Oh, the way we can lie, the way we do lie to ourselves. I told, because the ego mind is a cocky, seductive. When I tell you, your ego mind will seduce you out of your own divinity. Listen, yeah, see. And here's the thing, even in subtle, seemingly insignificant ways that you can con yourself are the precise ways that other people can con you. And that's part of what triggers an anxiety in you, because at a deep level, you know that you're lying in this seemingly small, doesn't matter kind of way. And what you don't realize is you're hanging yourself at the deep levels that matter as a pioneer who needs to be in clean energy with an undivided heart. See, that's why the higher you go, the more pure and honest you have to get. Otherwise, you literally hang yourself by your own lies. That's why I said in my newsletter yesterday that we must start with raw. And part of why today's topic is the raw power of pioneers who scare people. Because when you lie, and here's what I mean by lie. Lie is not always a deliberate intent to deceive. Hear me. A lie is not only a deliberate attempt to deceive. A lie could be, I'm just having a seemingly innocent moment with you. We're having a cup of coffee, we're sharing a meal, a conversation about a Netflix show we just watched. Huh? And something comes up in me that has to do with the conversation that is compelling and true for me. But what I do is I conceal it. I don't say it, I withhold it, because to say it would bring a sort of like disturbance to the space. Meaning, if we're just having a conversation, a normal, and I say this thing, it's gonna, woo. And because I don't want to be inconvenienced, I don't want to, whatever the reason why you would do it, causes me to withhold something and maintain what you don't see it as a lie, but it's maintaining this conversation where a piece that's not being included that you could feel is relevant and is important, the withholding of it is a version of a lie. You see, that's a high standard right there. How many people want to be held by that standard? Not many, because we don't want to be inconvenienced, right? We want to fit with our friends or our colleagues or whoever, right? We want to fit. But when you're a pioneer, a reiteration, I'm talking to pioneers. I'm talking to people who can't not do what they came here to do. See, pioneers are very distinct individuals, very distinct. Their inner world is very different from everybody else. So there's no relating in that way, because the way we function, right? So a pioneer, a visionary, someone who's literally their whole being, the coded individuals I've talked about, The primary purpose of their existence on earth is to usher a thing forward. Even a withholding that matters, even a little lie becomes a sickness. A little lie is a problem. To everybody else, right? The people who, and we start getting futuristic, I'll leave that to the side. But everybody else who, normal people who just want a nice, good, normal, they can get away with that. And I'll just drop a little bit right here. Even the masses are starting to be held to a higher responsibility because society is the masses. So even this whole, the pioneers of the world and the masses, the bar is being raised for the masses. The masses are becoming more conscious, more aware. The world is changing, people. The world is changing major. Okay. So it's a little bit of a parking about the masses and the normal people, right? So a little bit of a lie becomes a sickness. A little bit of a lie starts to act like a prison, a lock. Why can't I? How anybody experience this in their reality and can elaborate here? I'd love to hear, even on YouTube. As I'm waiting to see who wants to elaborate. I'm here. I rent space in a co-working office. It's beautiful here in Sacramento. And I was getting coffee and a guy came up. It's multiple floors. I'm on the top floor. A guy came up from the fourth floor and I was talking to the assistant here and he came up and he started a conversation about some Netflix called, I don't know, I can't remember what it's called, but basically like H&M was involved and like people donating. Did you guys see that new Netflix show? So anyway, he brought that up and he was talking about how basically how big corporations work to alleviate the public's fear of guilt and all that. So like you donate your clothes to H&M and then they tell you that they're going to give it to Ghana. Apparently Ghana was in this documentary on Netflix and uh, basically about how corporations lure consumers, lie to consumers, want to assuage the feelings of consumers, the guilt and all the things. And that how basically how humans are and what we don't want to see. And as he's talking about horrific, he's like, it's so horrific, and he's smiling, right? And I can see like I can just see, I don't know, I can see, right? And then I say to him, I say, and as you smile, talking about the horrificness of it, right? And then he's like, yeah, but and then we're having a conversation about society, and then it's myself, him, and her, and I'll say to him, we are society. We are society. Because so many people talk about society being out there. We constitute society, people. We are society. That's why I say the bar is being raised for the masses. The masses are society. Okay? So let me see. Let me read these comments. Hello, hello. That the rulers won't save us, billions of people acting different changes how the world feels, and there's no big event to point to, but it's there. Exactly. Okay. Billions of people acting different. So I want to remind us that today's topic is raw power for pioneers who scare people. Today's topic is raw power for pioneers who scare people. Hmm. What is a woman? When a woman is not imposed upon, what is she? And let's take it a step further. A pioneering woman. Who is she? What is she? How does she move? How does she think? How does she feel? How does she navigate life? A pioneering woman. And I mentioned earlier about the packaging and selling of the current world that we live in. Okay. The packaging and selling of everything, everything, everything. Oh, God. Woo! Let's remember that the way we live today is not how we lived 500 years ago, not how we lived 1,000 years ago, not how we lived 2,000 years ago. Okay? Let us remember that members of society made decisions, were imbued with what they were imbued with. Okay? I know we like to talk about entities being, okay, that could go. So I'll pause that for there. What I'm doing right now is I am taking vast power, vast knowledge, vast connection and intelligence, and condensing it, narrowing it down into words. Okay. Language is a reduced function of power. Okay. I feel the need to say this right now. Language is a reduced function of power. English is a reduced version of speaking. All the languages. English is a lower, simpler. Um, it's not a higher language. Okay. So I repeat, power is not even a language. Okay. The vastness of the power that is accessible is not even in verbal form. The creation of language itself, and I'm not going to get into this, I'm saying this to send the energy in the way that it's being sent. The creation of language itself is a reduction of power. Okay. The creation of language itself is a reduction. It's not power, the fullness, it is a reduction, it is a slither of power. So the mere fact that I'm even talking is a version of weakness, if you will. The fact that I'm even using words in part to communicate now is a weaker version of being. Who created language? We're not going to get into that. I'm just laying the question right there. Okay? This is why I say we're so powerful. When I say we, large numbers of humans, okay? And then other ones who devote, right? Because devotion changes the game in your lived reality. True devotion at a heart level changes the game for you. This is why I say so many do not want power. We might want money, sex, connection in, easily containable forms, right? Comfortable forms, but we don't want pioneering or vast power that would have us be able to deal with grids around the planet, that would have us being able to absorb and deal in vast ways. Again, me even speaking is a reduction of power. What is a woman? Who is she? Unimposed, without distorted consciousness in the way, without a divided heart. Mhm. Non-dual. I'm laying some framework here to help you to really imbue the space and connecting this with a deeper than normal compassion for the male. Okay. Divided hearts, divided consciousness are very loud on the internet. I repeat, divided hearts, divided consciousness are very loud on the internet. And I'll say also, the bright side to this is it's up. It's up. The war that's going on, it's up. We're talking. It's here, right? So everybody at their current level of devotion, awareness, can look at what's happening. And because it's up, we can look at it and make decisions about who we will be, how our eyes are opened, if we're willing to open our eyes, if we're willing to be responsible, or if we get sucked in by the vitriol of the divided hearts and the divided consciousness, talking on TikTok, on YouTube, on Instagram, on podcasts, blogs. Every single human being who's looking at the loud, divided hearts and divided consciousness online is making a decision about who they will be as they observe what's going on. Here's the deeper than normal compassion. So grateful. That is such a huge, insidious. Women, it is time for us to truly take this into our whole being, to our whole being, not just our hearts. So, yes, the hearts, but not just the hearts. And I mean a whole heart, not your divided heart. Into your whole being, which is an embodiment work of devotion. The lie, the great, great insidious lie, meaning is so tightly wound in for millennia, so tightly wound in, tightly wound in, tight, 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 so tightly wound into prevailing consciousness, so tightly wound in to the unconscious mind, so tightly wound in to our bodies, our mothers' bodies, everybody's, but the men are so tightly wound in that the male is inherently superior. Is in when I say superior, hold on. So hold on right here. Park this right here. Inherently superior. That the male is just a natural leader. That the male just naturally knows. That the male is above you. That the male just, the way the male is positioned in so many of us, our conscious and unconscious mind. and why so many of us are not only just afraid, but angry at the male, angry at patriarchy, angry at our husbands, angry at our boyfriends, angry at our sons. We're talking about 4B. uh, just this massive rage going on between the sexes right now. And it is when you really devote to this work, you as a woman, so let me talk as a woman here first. When you truly devote, your devotion comes so much from an inner pull. It's even beyond you just want to. When you truly devote, it's such a deep inner pull where it's like you can't not. When you devote at that level and you stay with it over time, your access to knowledge and power, and you cannot fake this, you cannot want this. Okay. Um, and you find even if you don't like it, even if it feels like too much, even if it pains you, even if it you then realize, gosh, the kind of responsibility now, you start to realize, you start to see even who the male is raw, not the packaging that's been sold about who the male is. And this is why so many women are disappointed. The packaging that even they bought about who they are and they're trying to live up to, many of them, and many of them are abandoning ship. But the package that's been sold about what the male is, like the package of the American dream. And it's like, this is what a man is. Okay. A man is a leader, just naturally. A man is everything that women think that a man is when they're getting married, when they're getting a boyfriend, when they're getting with men, right? And why the disappointment is so high, the anger is so high, the rage is so high with the feminine gender across generations. Okay, so we're all, I imagine, seeing the content online of women who are grandmothers, who are middle aged, all the way down to 20-year-olds. Okay, angry with men, enraged, 4B. I'm done with men. I let them go. I got, da, 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 da. And what has happened is that so many of us had an expectation of men because we bought the package that says men are inherent providers and protectors. They are inherent leaders. They are inherently these things, when so many women who have been married with children see that it's not inherent, right? It's not natural. He does it if he feels the way he wants to feel in the relationship. He does it if maybe if you two are together. Like, how many men don't take care of their children if they're not with the mother of the children, right? He doesn't naturally lead, right? He needs to. The Bible, in and of itself, so much is for men to have instruction on how to live. So much of the Bible is that. Because without being told what to do, most men don't know what to do. That's why so many of them constantly go there. Meanwhile, a woman can create a whole system of how to be when she's without the impositions of what she's supposed to be. A woman can create a whole system. She can thrive when she's embodied and she interacts with all of life, the natural elements of life. She doesn't even need the Bible. But a man left to himself, now please listen to what I'm saying. We really got to learn how to really look at the male raw. Look at the male raw without the packaging of what a male is supposed to be, right? So natural, like what the male naturally wants to do, regardless. See, because what you naturally do regardless. And I'm sharing this because we need to get down into who the male is, and this depth of compassion even has me like really looking at what the male needs, how humanity is going to thrive. My responsibility as a pioneer with bringing power into rightness in my way in this lifetime. What the male will always want to do and will naturally do regardless of circumstances. He can be poor, he can hate, he can feel all the feeling. He will always want to procreate. Always. And he will always want to eat. Okay. Now, I don't know if a lot of y'all, we know this as common knowledge, but we need to put this at the front to look at why we feel the way we feel. Like this needs to be considered on the table as we look at why we feel the way we feel about the male. So I'm talking to women right now. Why you feel like, first of all, how do you feel about males in general? How do you feel about the male in your life, whether it's your father, your husband, your boyfriend, your son? How do you feel about them, right? Especially women who are pioneering, doing pioneering work for humanity. Why do you feel that way? And when we look at it, it's because so many of us thought that they were this natural thing that they're supposed to provide for the check when no, they're right. They're doing that because that's what they think they're supposed to do. That's how they're going to get belonging to a woman. That's how they're going to get respect and like, you know, and this is what I was thinking this morning too. This is how they belong somewhere. This is how they get like they're doing this because they feel like it's going to get them something. They want to feel important. They want to feel significant. They want to feel, keep a woman or get multiple women and okay, or not, right? Because many men are checking out. They don't want to. I don't, right? Because again, it's not natural for them to provide and protect. Natural meaning they're going to do it regardless of circumstances, like sex. They're going to eat regardless of circumstances. They want to have sex regardless of circumstances. You don't need to make them feel a certain way to want to have sex and to eat. They could hate you as a woman and will have sex with you. They could have sex with you and have a whole plan to kill you later that day. That's an example of natural, like genuine. That's what they do regardless of circumstances. All the rest is an attempt to appear because the packaging of modern day marriage gives men status, right? Which is why so many women, are like, he doesn't even want to be married. He just wants the status that comes with being married. Right? So many married men have, regular prostitutes they see and don't like their wives, but they get the status, they get somewhere to belong, right? I'm sharing all this so we can start to look at with raw, naked eyes what the male is, minus all the emotion and rage and anger and mad and just let's pause this for a minute. This is the new level of maturity, not only for pioneers, but for all women. Okay. And here's the thing. Okay. Back up off of what people are talking about. Just back up. Okay. Just look at a human, minus all the noise, the bare naked human. You, bare naked. Reincarnated. What Kendrick Lamar said in his song to his high self. So his ego self said up to the high self, all I wanted was love and approval. A rapist wants love and approval. Okay. The worst man wants love and approval. Don't you want love and approval? Tell me what you mean, KIY, when you say so many of us can relate to men. Look at the being with naked eyes. Okay. I want to repeat what the great master Carl Jung said. The best way to deal with the darkness in another is to deal with the darkness in yourself. Okay. The best way to deal with darkness in another is to deal with the darkness in yourself. The division in yourself, the judgment in yourself, the self hate in yourself, the projection in yourself, the finger pointing in yourself, the petty in yourself, the ego in yourself. I too, once upon a time, saw men as these strong things who are supposed to give me money, play this like big protector game in my life, and I have sex with them. We have the power to restore right power in this world. You start with the darkness in yourself. You start with the division in yourself. We are so beyond male and female. We're so beyond that. Most of us are not hardly ready to exist at these levels of being beyond male and female. We're so very much identified with gender and what he's supposed to do and what she's supposed to do. So we will advance as a species. But I like to lay that down again that we are so beyond that. We are vastly powerful beings. Whew. I'd like to share a bit about my God Power workshop that's coming up. Okay. Specifically for pioneering women who scare people, pioneering women who scare people, visionary women who are dangerously powerful. Okay. Uh, you know that you have very distinct work to do in your lifetime. And you are now needing to do the work. Okay. You know that it's time for you to devote and do uncomfortable things for the rest of your life. I repeat, you know that it's time for you to do uncomfortable things for the rest of your life. And the call on your life requires, absolutely requires, that you connect with fellow gods. Spiritual prototype, something about you, uh, I can feel your ignorance. And here, let me be clear, right? Because we're all ignorant on some level. I can feel the part of you that's disconnected from what you need to be connected to be more solid in this, what I'm picking up from you. Spiritual prototype. So, if you know that it's time for you to devote in this way, My God Power workshop may very well be for you. It's happening December 11th through the 20th. It's a 9-day workshop. You need to read the full details. You go to the link in my bio, click it, and read details there. If you're on YouTube, the link is in the description. Okay. Hi, Tracy. Again, my God Power workshop is for pioneering women who scare people who are ready to devote. My God Power workshop is for visionary women who are dangerously powerful and they're ready to refine, get into connection with, and refine their raw power so they can take up space and command and do what they're here to do. Okay. Vet yourself. Go to the link in my bio, click it, and read details on the page. Okay. If you're on YouTube, the link is in the description. God Power Workshop. God Power 9-day workshop. Let me come over here. Chris said, I think of the way men are told, if you're not strong and viral, you are worthless, right? And worthless turns into you will not have coochie, right? You will not get a woman. You will look weak. You won't be respected. You'll be alone, right? And many men do horribly alone. That's why they're so afraid of being alone, which is why they throw that at women. It's a projection. That's why you're gonna be alone and single when women are not men, typically. The more a woman comes to know herself, the more she enjoys herself, okay? And the more she does well alone. And then in that aloneness, she selects who actually is an addition to her life versus choosing a man out of scarcity and fear, which is what so many men do. I need a woman because you see, um, boys work to do in that department. Because when we start choosing each other from abundant places versus choosing from like attaching, needing a woman attached to you and playing all these mind games to make sure she's afraid of being alone and afraid of, being powerful and making money and da, 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 da. Mm, that shit is dying out fast. The way I see these young girls, 20, 22, 21, these days, if men gonna have to, ooh, baby, it's here, honey. It is here. It's here. It's here. You can't, it's here. It's here. So grateful for the young girls, 20, 22, 25, with clear eyes who can see it. To this point, any man, he's either going to have weak women around him, like what I call females cosplaying as women, or he's going to have powerful women around him. That's where we are, and it's going to become more so like that. Because any man who calls himself dealing with women for real, they showing up, and women know. That's a whole other conversation. All right, let me see here before I go on. Hi, Valex. Said most have been conditioned to only offer money and protection. What should we be asking of them? That's up to you, depending on your life path and what you're up to. Like, what's your purpose? Different women require different things in their life. So there's not a one size fits all. All right, Tracy, I see you. So, one last thing I'll say about men before I move on further in the conversation. Spiritual Prototype said, every man I've ever been with was always in competition with me. It was so weird to me. So, there's a man who showed up on my YouTube feed, and it's such a beautiful thing when a man can talk honestly about men. It is such a beautiful thing when a man can talk honestly about men. Oh, and I think he was a rabbi. He had like the you know, and that, what is that called? That, what's that thing called? That flat black, I don't know what to call it, that I think the rabbis wear. And you guys know what I'm talking about? Yamuka. Is that what that black circular flat thing is that they wear at the top of their head? Tumek, Tumek or something. Yeah, him, and he was the sincerity of wanting, because he kept saying, "We're not looking for pity. I just want you to, I just want you to understand the male. Okay, I want you to understand the male." And many of us know this, like I know this, but I just really appreciated his sincerity, his effort, um, and putting out this content. He was in front of an audience, and he was talking about the dynamic between the male and the female, and that what women need to understand is that when a male is, he didn't say undivided, so I'm saying undivided, but basically, when a male is in relationship with a female, a healthy male, he wants to give to her. And the best thing that a woman can do is receive whatever he gives, okay? Whatever he gives, receive it, okay? It's a Yamuka. Okay, thank you, Tracy. A Yamuka or Yamaka? Yamuka or Yamaka? And he said, and I'm paraphrasing this piece because I don't remember what he said verbatim, but he says something like, despite the prevailing storyline that men are the bigger, better, superior species, right? Despite that, at the end, the woman is always the bigger giver. That's what he said. So I say this in part, right, to what someone here said, I think spiritual prototype, about men competing with women, because women are not competing with men for the most part, right? But he said that because when a man gives to a woman, she's going to take it and give it back to him better than he ever could. Okay. Now, see, that can be received because if I said that, oh God, so many, I get, maybe depending on how I said it, it could be received well. But so often when a woman says these kinds of things, immediately the male ego just starts doing its thing. And he said it. Okay. And that at the end of the day, the woman is the bigger provider. Okay. The woman is the bigger provider. And he said he really did a great job of explaining the inner experience of the male, especially at an unconscious level, and why his insecurity can be triggered, why it can be triggered, how it's triggered, why he moves the way he moves. And he repeatedly said, "We're not looking for pity. I just want you to understand the male." And you could see why he kept saying, "We're not looking for pity," because it's, as he was talking very honestly, you could see how a woman could be like, damn, right? Like, because again, the male in his raw, naked state, without a Bible, without a woman, without being told what to do, this is what I say, look at him with naked eyes. And when you reconcile who you are and you're honest as a woman within you, and you look at the male with naked eyes, oh my God, when your heart is whole, compassion is the natural thing. I'm telling you. When you are divided heart and you mad and you got broken, shit, trauma and all that, and you see that in a male, the predator in you can rise. But when you're wholehearted, I'm telling you, the compassion is a very natural thing. Then, this is the beauty. Oh my God. This is the beautifulness right here. When you're at this place of wholeheartedness and you see the male with naked eyes, not like, he got money. So then you start projecting all these ideas and everything you could do. So many women do, right? A man can just show up in a nice car and suddenly you look at it. no matter how much money, no matter how many cars, look at him with naked eyes. And you know who the male is at the core. Okay. And you can see that. You can be such a loving, like you can really bring about the God in him that can be brought forth. You can now, and a lot of that is you giving that, right? And the ego, the male ego doesn't like that in many ways, right? But just like this rabbi said, it's so much of the woman being the great provider. And this is why men are, to be alone is like death to a lot of them. They're they're fed by the feminine. And when the feminine is whole, oh come on, which she can only be whole when she's dealing in raw power. Any contortion to try to appear wholesome, any contortion inside of herself to try to look good and feminine and decent and pure and nice, and because this is what a good woman looks like, and this is what a wholesome woman looks like, and this is what all of that, it's just sophisticated lies, and it's rotting and calcifying on the inside. Again, that's the female cosplaying as a woman. When she's whole, however, wholehearted, raw, okay? Wholehearted, raw, okay? Meaning she can cut through, she can be receptive to all that you bring, she can be present with the beast in a man, the raw nature in a man, and not be like shaming him and judging him because he's not being the man that a man is supposed to be. You're not living up to my expectations of what a man, yeah, you are, and all the judgment and all the shit that starts to happen. You can actually look at him naked with whole eyes and call forth from a whole place the more from him. You imbue him. The true feminine, full feminine, gets to call him forth. And this is what, oh God, whether a man can see that and admit that, this is what every male being needs and longs for. But so many of them don't know how to be open to that. So, in their efforts to pick a woman, a wife, and all that, their ego mind picks a female cosplaying as a woman. Just look at the wives that they pick. Their high self wouldn't pick her, but because so much of them is scarce and afraid, and they don't know. Men don't just naturally know. That's another reason why so many women are disappointed. You expect men to just know things because you bought the package that men are these naturally all-knowing superior things, and they're not. So when you're whole, you can look at him whole. His naked state, you can look at him whole. And the compassion and the reverence you can hold him in, even when he's behaving poorly. The reverence. And it's a constant reflection back to you, to who are you being as a woman, whether you're a pioneer or not. Constantly deciding how you're being with this being. And from there, oh my God. In all environments, in the corporate space, your brother, your dad, your husband, all males that you're dealing with, when you can see wholly. So you see how, again, if you want to change the world, you change yourself. You see how this always comes back to you. You want to change the world? You want men to be together? You want men to Yes, yes. And looking at, do you want that responsibility? No, I don't want it like that. No, I don't want it like, because men are natural leaders. Are they? Has that proven true in your reality? Oh, that's a good one, Wonderland. Hi, Wonderland. Hi, Wonderland. Wonderland said men would know, but they typically detach from self to attach to systems out of fear. I'm going to repeat that. Men, hold on. Men would know, but they typically detach from self to attach to systems out of fear. What systems, Wonderland? Is that a man? I think so. You never know. Sometimes women put male pictures for different reasons, you know? What systems, Wonderland? So perhaps we'll hang out here longer than I anticipated. Because I like this. I can feel where this could go when we maintain highness. Tracy said, just like when a woman is in her self awareness and worth determines who she'll attract in her life. Would you like to share, Wonderland, what systems or no? Okay, Wonderland said, a man in NYC. What would the world be like? Oh my God. What would the world be like with men unattached from the systems? And all these systems are divisive. Okay. Excuse me. They're divisive. They tear at the wholeness of the sentient being. I repeat, they tear and distort the wholeness of sentient beings. Imagine males detaching from systems and coming into their system, their knowing, women doing the same, what humanity would look like over time. Wonderland says all the systems, like marriage, for instance, it's all set for the man to be something more than they are given naturally. Thank you so much, sir. And when you take all the emotion, the rage and the anger that so many women are walking around with, and you take all that away, you just really look at that naked, calm down, back up, and you just look at it all naked from the deepest part, as deep as you can go, right? Compassion naturally arises, very naturally. For those of you who have sons, you can do this very easily. Yes, this is the direction now for those of us who are ushering forward humanity, who are setting up new systems, which I'm doing, who are patterning things to restore rightness. It is the way. And you can create whole, sustainable systems when you are whole. When you face your own darkness, your own division, and you devote the lies, even the little lies that you tell yourself, and you devote, you clean that up, restore it. What is the whole truth here? For those of you who, thank you for sharing the live. Hey, darling, Aaliyah. Those of you who know that you picked your husband or your wife out of scarcity or fear or poor decision making, own that. Okay, and what do you want now? Like, this is what I mean by raw, 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 raw. Because those of us who are sincere about the wholeness and devotion, we see through you, which means that you have to only, if you never want to be talked too straight, talk too raw, talk too pure, that means you have to have a whole community of other people who are lying in small ways because the rest of us can see through you. So for those of you who call yourself being, married or in communities or with women or with men or whatnot, if you're not devoted to true power and authenticity, that means you will unconsciously make sure nobody comes into your field who's true, who's raw, who's in primal power. Because so much of you is still wanting to lie, kind of. So your whole village is going to be a bunch of people who are at that level. This is why I'm sure Wonderland can attest to this and other men. And when a man sees a woman who is, honest and to a standard, they know don't even fool with her. Go get some other broad who's, young and dumb, young and insecure, blind, it's low self-esteem. Because that woman who's true, who knows who she is, or she gonna see straight through you. Huh? Wonderland said, I also feel like men leech from women and children because they have better source connection. This is true. This is very true. This is why so many women have called men parasites. And this is all women. I mean, this crosses generations and races. And if we can just see the whole parasite thing is rooted in sort of like parasite, because parasite triggers a sort of negativity within a being, right? But again, when you look at the nakedness of the male from your whole place and place yourself in the shoes of the male, as a woman, place yourself in the shoes of a male. Back up off all the judgment and ugly and being mad and angry. Place yourself in the shoes of the male. And imagine you don't have that natural connection like that. And I know it's hard for a woman to do because you're a woman, right? So you'd be imagining this. You don't really know what it's like to be a male, but right, the males defer to the Bible to give them some sense of what am I supposed to be doing down here, to make sense of who they are, what to do, how to order their lives. They look at a woman, and this is a source of meaning and sustenance and food, right? The woman is the resource, the food, the relief, the connection, oh, this gives me purpose, right? So just put yourself in the shoes of the male. Really. And when you do that, you can just see, and it's like, oh, this is why. I see why they want to attach. I see why they need you to attach. I see why okay, I see. And when you're whole and you see that, you can deal with them very differently than being like, you fucking parasite, you you damn leech. I appreciated that a man said that in here. Thank you, Wonderland. Chris said, imagine aliens gave you a quantum computer that knows the universe and you make it answer emails. Chris, in what context are you talking about that? Are you saying generally, or is that in context with something I've shared here? Oh, now I see I guess this is part of it. That's how it feels to be placed in a man made exploitation system. You feel underutilized. Oh. Chris, do you feel underutilized? Hi, Groovy. Haven't seen you in a while. Tracy, I think your statement there is connected with something else I may have missed. His wife, and his response was like, that's a distasteful question to ask. I'm not sure what context that is. Can't be transactional with someone who knows their worth. So true. So men who, what I have to give is money and, give her this and give her that. Well, sir, you're going to have to pick a female cosplaying as a woman. You're going to have to pick a woman who doesn't know who she is. or a woman who's only in it for the transaction, and and maybe that's all you want. Yes, even the sisters and mothers using their labor for fathers, brothers, and sons. Yes. Thank you for sharing the live spiritual prototype. I can imagine it's a conscious state that can feel like a constant. Are you talking about the inner world of the naked man, Groovy? When you say I can imagine it's a constant state of confusion, like needing something to be solid. I need what is the solid thing here? Like that? Yes, exactly that. Like what is sustaining? What is abiding? What is the solid thing here? I need, you know what I mean? And that's that you can see why, because so many women, when men cheat, they're like, why doesn't he just leave the marriage instead of breaking her heart and cheating and all that? Because the one wife that he stays with, or woman who he stays with, is the sustaining thing. This whole We've been on the topic of men for so long because it so matters in the wholeness of humanity. It so matters. Okay, so the one woman who he sticks with, whether it's a wife or a long-term girlfriend who he lives with, she's the sustaining thing, because men need something sustaining, because it's like without it, most of them are like on the inside, right? Like you said, that constant state of confusion. So have we brought this home now? We seem to be unified in this awareness of what the male is, and removing all the emotion out of it. And I know emotion can rise and all that, but it's like also for the woman, you have who you are too. And removing, and that for those, we're on this planet together. Okay. And then taking the same awareness that we have here and now and applying that when you look at Donald Trump. You see what I mean? You do it here in the micro so you can deal at the macro, right? Taking the same awareness of what the male is when you're looking at Kim Jong Un. The same awareness when you're looking at Putin. The same awareness when you're out somewhere, right? And you're looking at the male and all you can just see things so differently. And you can respond from a higher place versus this 4B. Because I'm just done with me. I'm just so enraged. There's so many women are dealing with. Do I need to clean my camera? Oh no. It feels so easy to lose sight of the present moment in here. For you, we are really asked to fit the roles. Soldier, worker, but we want to be more, but are beaten down. Oh, lovely. Yeah. What's the more, Chris? What's the more? And I imagine you're speaking on behalf of men. What's the more? I love this. What's the more? Because this is what men consciously and unconsciously are looking for women to bring to them. The more. When they can have the ego out of the way, right? Because so many men, right, when the woman is coming to bring the more, they see it as disrespect. Uh, Divine digital guide, are you here? I know you know that experience, but so many of us do. You know, it's like, sir, in order to cut through here, as we're dealing in raw power, see, in your male experience, okay? What makes it so easy to lose sight of the present moment, T? What makes it so easy to lose sight of the present moment? The more, Chris said, is thinker, teacher, caretaker, storyteller, and yes, farmer and builder and children raiser. Yes. What prohibits, from your perspective, Chris, what prohibits a male from truly existing in these frames that you just mentioned? And T, I'd love to hear your experience. What makes it difficult to maintain, what did you say? Lose sight of the present moment. And then I want to wrap this context up, unless something pulls. As I'm waiting to hear from Chris and T, if they choose to share, I'd like to reiterate. I know we've gotten quite cozy in here. It feels rather cozy. Does it? Feels cozy to me. Um, so it's easy to. Coziness is very seductive, isn't it? Coziness is very seductive. I like to reiterate here that I'm a pioneer. I'm here to restore rightness of power. Okay. A large part of that has to do with restoring the feminine and beyond, but right now in the feminine. Okay. Bringing humanity to males, compassion to males. Okay. And women who truly know it's time for them to exist in raw power and refine themselves and bring themselves and their work out into the world in a big, structured, real, front facing way. I'm inviting you into my God Power Workshop. You see it's on the screen right there, December 11th through the 20th. You need to vet yourself. Okay, this is not just because you're inspired right now or you like how cozy or interesting or insightful or powerful it feels right now. You need to actually be ready for the work that I'm talking about in here today and for what's described on the registration page. Okay? What's described on the registration page? Are you ready for that? Go to the link in my bio, click God Power Workshop. The link is also in the description here on YouTube. Read the details, and if you're a yes, come on in. Make sure you complete the questionnaire too, that immediately pops up after you register. Okay. Okay. Tracy said, it's beautiful to hear from men's perspective. Yes, this is a safe space, fellas. This is it. This is exactly it. I'm telling you. It's going to come from us being able to exist in a space of being both tender and striking. Tender and striking, raw. The base of this is rawness. If we cannot be raw, if either one of us, when I say either, I mean the male or the female, if either one of us has to contort in even the smallest, seemingly insignificant way, we immediately trigger a corrosion. We immediately trigger a prison and a calcification and a rot. So we start at raw. I'm not even interested if we're not starting at raw, which is perfection. That's absolute perfection. He said, I want to give a prop. Chris said, we are media indoctrinated into husband, worker, defender of the state, and that takes all our energy, right? You got to compensate. And we are emotionally and physically exhausted and feel left behind, left to work and die. And Trump really played on that to get increased male votes. He really played on that because Trump plays in the deep mind. Proper answer. Okay, you want to give a proper answer. T said, my ability to be aware, have clarity in my deeper intentions, desires. Right. What makes it so difficult here in this space? You agree? All righty. Any questions? Any questions? Because I just energetically feel like it's time to wrap up. Any questions? Thank you all so much for being here, for sharing, engaging, for the hearts. Feel welcome to DM me any questions. You're welcome, Chris. You're very welcome. It's a new horizon. It's difficult, people. Oh, here in your body. Got it. Okay. Not the space, but in your body. Good. I love that you're even paying attention to that. Um, in closing, as I wait to see if any questions come about, hello, YouTube. So, questions either TikTok or YouTube. Now is the time to ask questions if you have them. Uh, in closing, on my end, assuming there's no questions, um, the path ahead is very difficult. It's very tumultuous. Okay. One of the things that's going to save you is being honest. Okay. Like the like the deep, the sting, okay, with everybody in your life, particularly the people who you care about and are in relationship with the most, your parents, your lovers, the people you work with, your spouses, your children, anybody you're in community with in any kind of way. Raw honesty is going to save you as well as being embodied. Okay, which this is a devotion, this is work, this is a large part of what my company helps you do. When you exist in your body and you are raw at that level, you can start to touch people at these deeper places that so many people long to be connected with that. Okay. Beyond all the labels and the things, that we are like clenching to for an illusion of safety. Okay. It's nourishing when you're embodied and you can connect at the level. And you also start to see who you actually want to be, like who's available to be in that kind of connection with you and who's not, right? Because not everybody is available to be in that kind of connection. So raw power will save you, embodiment will save you, and being in relationship with people who are existing at this level. So this may be rare in your reality. So if it is rare, perhaps you're the person to initiate that with the people who are in your world. Okay. Whew. It's it's going to be difficult ahead, and we can equip ourselves. Just know that. Okay. All righty. I'm going to shut down. Thank you for the likes, YouTube. Thank you so much. See you soon.